What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of Terry McLaurin's best route running from the 2020 season. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can run this corner against press, how you guys can run this kind of one-step whip route, and then how you guys can be able to stop on a dime and run this kind of like out route when we're selling vertical and man coverage, okay? So these are going to be 3 great routes that you guys can learn from. Hopefully it helps you improve your game, helps you improve your knowledge, your football IQ a little bit on releases, route running, and just overall receiver ability, okay? And guys, if you're a receiver and you want to get better hands, you want to improve your catching ability, but you don't have a quarterback to throw to you 24/7, check out that link in the description that says improve your hands in 30 days, full 30-day catching program, grip strengthening exercises. You got hand-eye coordination drills and repetition drills that do not require a quarterback. So check out that link in the description that says improve your hands in 30 days to get you signed up on that. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Let's get started. So, number 1 here, we're going to be talking about how he comes off the line and gives him this little hesitation release to the inside with this jab, takes an outside release, heavy indicator cut, and runs this corner. So there's a few different ways we could do this, right? You can run this corner. A lot of people think that you have to take an outside release. That is not true. It could be the furthest thing from the truth. You could take an inside release. You can take an outside release. You just got to make sure that you have a plan at the top of the route. Trust yourself at the top of the route. There's a great, I believe it's on Instagram where Ocho Cinco is breaking down like Keenan Allen, or he just posted 2 clips of him. And he's one of the greatest route runners of all time, right? He's saying trust yourself at the top of the route. Don't force an outside release. Don't force an inside release. Trust yourself. That's why we have a lot of tools in our arsenal at the top of the route. So let's watch this thing full speed. So he gets a little hesitation move. He jumps to the inside. Let's work back over the top, work to restack, give this heavy indicator, and make sure I accelerate out. So this is a great way to create separation. So when I come off the line and I give any kind of hesitation release where I want to attack a DB's leverage, we're essentially gathering info, right? We're reading him. We're going to see how he's going to play. We're going to read and then react, right? So I come off the line here, and he gives him this little hesitation, right? And then this DB starts to jump to the inside. Okay, fine. I'm just going to take the outside release. I'm going to work with what I got and then go. One thing I would change is that McLaurin flailing his arms out like this. I don't think this is, and I'm sure he would say this too, I don't think this is the best habit to be in just because it exposes your chest. And if the DB were to come at you and try to choke you and try to jam you off the line and be physical, you would get knocked back. So for you younger receivers out there, I would suggest not to open up your arms like that. Obviously, I don't think this is something that he does all that often. I don't see this all that often from him. I think this is just a one-time thing. But just make sure that my elbows stay in so I'm ready to fight off any kind of hand combat that I need to, right? I'm always going to be prepared. Hand technique is just about reacting, so make sure that we're always prepared. So now, you see that he jumps to the inside. DB starts to keep his leverage to the inside. All I got to do is really just put one foot in the ground. It's not about breaking him. It's not about trying to get him to completely fall and bite the opposite direction. But just put my foot in the ground, bursting up, taking this outside release, then making this move, right? So I come off the line, I hesitate, jab, and then I take this outside release. Now, it's very important that when I work back up to the top of the route and I work to restack that I have speed. I break off that leg, I keep my chest down, I really pump and I really drive to get back over the top of this DB. And when I get back over the top of this DB or thereabouts, there's a couple different things that I could do, right? So if I get back over the top, I can give him this heavy indicator, I can work a peek back technique, then just break this thing off, or I could give maybe a rocker step. One of the 2 things, you give him a little bit of a shoulder lean, right? You lean into him a little bit here, then you pop this thing off with the heavy indicator cut. There's many different things you could do at the top of the route. That's again while we have multiple tools in my arsenal. Now, again, you don't want to be doing too much. You don't want to force too much, but make sure that I'm getting out efficient. Make sure that I give him something at the top of the route. I don't want to just round into this break. Now, let's talk about one more thing. Let's say I come off the line and I hesitate at him, right? And let's say he stays outside. He gives me this inside release. I'm going to hesitate and just take the inside release. Now, what's something you guys can do with an inside release? This is how you guys should be thinking about routes. I take this inside release. He's running hip to hip with me. I could work a throw-by technique. If I'm able to get back over the top, I can do the same thing. I could work this 1-2. I could work this heavy indicator cut, then get to this corner. So again, you could work an outside release or an inside release off of this route. Now let's get to the top of the route. So when he makes this break here, you see how it's sudden. That cut, being able to be in stride and just pop this thing off, that's so rare amongst high school receivers and younger receivers, because what a lot of guys like to do is they like to reach, right? They'll be running up into this thing and they like to reach out and they pull their chest back and then they drag their feet and they're nice and slow out of the break, which gives this DB time to react, right? If we can be in stride, right? You see how his stride length doesn't change, and he's just sudden. That cut is explosive. He's just popping it in the grass. The thing about that is it doesn't give the DB time to react, but also that explosiveness behind that cut, that just suddenness behind that cut, that gives you explosion. And that explosion can shoot you back out and create some energy so you can accelerate out of this route and widen the distance from this DB. If I can pop that leg off, continue to pump my arms and continue to drive out of this thing, I can widen the distance. So you see how he snaps that head around, but he continues to pump those arms. That just widens the gap with the DB. That it lengthens the gap with this DB, and then that ball comes in over the top. That's a great rider by Terry McLaurin. Let's watch this thing again full speed one more time. So you get the hesitation, shoots to the inside. Let's work back up, pop this cut off, make sure I accelerate out of the break and widen the gap with the DB. All right, so now we're going to be talking about just this one-step whip route here. He doesn't even get the ball in this play, but it's still a great route that he's able to get separation on. So if you don't see, he's right here from the slot coming out. So he gives this kind of one step outside of this DB's frame, then breaks to the inside. 2 steps right here, actually, like 2 steps. He goes here, right, left, and he puts the brakes on, right? So how do I sell a dang slant or a drag on just 2 steps, right? And how we're able to do that is with eyes, shoulders, and hips, and make sure that I'm exploding off of this cut, right? And those are all the things that build into a normal whip route, right? We made a video a couple days ago on a whip route, and it was mainly just about, okay, how can I sell this thing? How can I try to draw this DB in? And this goes for the same on any kind of double move route, right? I got to give eyes, not necessarily on a whip route always, but I would say more so shoulders, hips, and speed. So when he makes this one single cut right here, he explodes. Those 2 steps are explosive. He comes off here, 1, 2. And again, he's in an explosive, low position to make sure that he's able to drive back out, right? What gets this DB to commit, I got to be a salesman first, right? I got to sell with my upper half. I got to sell with my shoulders. Got to sell with my hips. And I got to be able to put the brakes on right now with 1 cut or with 2 cuts. And I got to get into a low and explosive position. I got to drop my hips violently. I got to bring my chin to my knee. I'm in an explosive position. Now I can shoot back out. Now I can widen the distance with this DB and go. So you see, he puts the brakes on. This guy overcommits. And that explosive position, he can push off of that leg. You see how his left leg that hooks around, he's here. And that leg serves as kind of like that. That's what gets your hips turned, because you want to try to get on a whip route. You want to try to get your hips turned to the line of scrimmage. And when you get your hips turned to the line of scrimmage and push off of that left leg and drive your arms, that creates that explosion and that acceleration, kind of similar to what we talked about with that speed cut on that corner route, right? When you pop that leg off and you're pushing off the inside arch, it gives you that explosion that you need to accelerate, right? The analogy I use for my receivers is like if we're running a 40-yard dash, that first 10 yards, right, you want to be explosive. You don't want to just stand straight up and try to run as fast as you can. You want to have that drive phase to give you that explosion, which leads to acceleration, and then you start striding it out, and it gives you that finish through the line, right? Same thing right now. I want to get in that explosive position. That comes from my hips. That comes from how sudden and explosive I could be with that cut, and then I want to push because that gives me that energy to create that acceleration, and I could drive my arms and just continue to widen the distance. Anybody can get separation. Anybody can drop on a dime, right? That's something that you can easily build, but can you accelerate? Accelerating out of there is a mindset where I just got to go, okay, now I got to run. I got to run 100 miles an hour after I create this separation, okay? Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great rider by Terry McLaurin. So coming off 1 step, breaks this thing off, make sure we accelerate, make sure we drive out. Okay, so now he's going to be the point man here in this like stack formation. We're going to be talking about just mainly, again, how to stop on a dime and how to sell vertical. So he's going to be here, and what he's going to do is he's taking this free inside release, so he's coming off the line, kind of gives us a little hesitation and goes, right? So DB, this is like that situation that we talk about where we were maybe running that corner route. Like he just gives us this inside release. He's here, he stays outside shade, he gives us this inside release. All right, let's go. Let's work to the inside, and I snap this thing off right now at about 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. So now, the thing about this first, 8 yards right here, where there's stem of the route, right? There's 3 phases, right? You got the stem, or you got the release, or I would say release and stem are really considered in the same phase, right? Because on a quicker route it would be. But so let's say we got stem, top of the route, acceleration, right? So stem, it's all about selling vertical in a basic situation, right? Everybody's going to be like, oh, well, don't you want to change your tempo? And yes and no. Yes, you want to change your tempo. In this situation, you can't really, because it looks like a man coverage straight up concept across the board. Or if it's a man coverage concept, but the quarterback's getting pressure. I can't change up tempo. I can't take my sweet time. I just got to go. More often than not, you just got to go. Not saying there aren't times where you change up tempo. Off the line, I love changing up tempo. In the middle of the routes, I don't necessarily teach that all that often. It is taught, don't get me wrong. It's just I feel like in certain cases it's used correctly. In certain cases it's abused where guys change it up too often. The quarterback sits there waiting, right? So I like doing this first. This has got to happen first before you even change up tempo. Don't even think about changing up tempo before you can sell vertical on your routes and actually get this DB to commit his hips and feel your speed. And when you're selling, and make him believe fade, right? You see how much he's able to get him to turn his hips because McLaurin's in such a great pad level position. He's coming off the line fast, saying in stride, and he's able to put the brakes on right now. And you see what gets him down. That violent snap of that outside leg. He's out of that break in 3 steps. He's here running full speed, violent snap. No indicator, right? By indicator, I mean you don't want to be running up into this break and then pick your chest up, then drop. You don't want to be running up into this break and then slowly cruise down. You don't want to chop your feet and then drop your hips. You want to be in stride, be violent with your hips, and then accelerate out. Because if I get into this position where DB commits his hips with an inside release and I snap this off, now I got some separation because what's he got to do? He's got a speed turn. But that speed turn should be way slower than us. We should be able to drop my hips, be violent, and then again, the violent silent drop in my hips, accelerates me out of this break, and I could widen the distance and pump my arms. Quarterback's on time with the ball. Great route with Terry McLaurin. Running an out route with an inside release is all about being able to snap on a dime or cut on a dime and work a throw-by technique if the DB has hands, right? Let's say we get to the top of the route here, and this DB's being physical. He's got his right hand on me. He's being physical. He's trying to reroute me. I want to work that swat by, throw him by, rip back underneath, okay? Doesn't have hands. I should be able to just put the brakes on and rip right back underneath him. It's just all about being able to have a process. Now, what if we were able to just completely dog him off the line and he's trailing behind me? I probably just want to cut and go. I work to restack. Maybe I do that like shoulder reduce to get back over the top, pop this thing off, and get to the out route. It's all about having a plan for the different situations you're going to see, and you can be prepared for those situations through film studies, studying those teams, studying your opponent, studying the DB you're going to be matched up against on film throughout the week to understand the concepts that you're going to see. Let's watch this thing again full speed one more time. Great job taking the inside release, snapping this thing off, pump those arms, and accelerate out and drive. That's a great route here by Terry McLaurin. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also, guys, if you're a receiver, want to get better hands, don't have a quarterback to throw to you, link in the description, improve your hands in 30 days. Really will help you improve your hands when you don't have anybody to throw to you. I'll see you guys next time.